Good morning and welcome to the Dominate Ductless podcast, where we tell the stories of entrepreneurs who are building their business that are focused on ductless heat pumps. I'm Mike Cappuccio, the owner of Dominate Ductless. I am excited today to have a longtime friend and business owner, David Sampaio from Zero Energy. Did I say that right, Dave?
Yes, sir. Zero Energy. Yep.
Zero Energy. So, good morning, Dave. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Mike? Good to be with you.
I can't complain. It's very sunny in Southwest Florida today, as you can probably see the sun coming in the window there. So,
Yes.
I've had a busy week. I was up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the hills, very hilly up there, but we had a good time. So, Dave, tell
Nice.
the audience a little bit about yourself, about your company, and what are your day-to-day roles there, and how did you get involved in this? How did you start this? Tell us the story.
Well, I fell into HVAC by accident.
Oh, tell us. I love hearing this.
Yes. So I was in my former life, I was actually a personal trainer, sales manager for a personal training business.
Wow.
And I was heavily involved. I was fortunate enough, I didn't realize that at the time, but I was mentored by the owner of the franchise. They had about 90 franchises in the state of Massachusetts, and it was all about sales, 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 sales. And they were scripting for cold calling, for how the customer walks in, body language. Everything was scripted and recorded, and you had to do things a certain way to elicit a certain response. And little did I know that would serve me well. 5 years into that, I did construction on the side. I always liked to work. Summer breaks and stuff, I would just work when I was in high school and everything. And so I had some construction knowledge, but I thought I wanted to go that career path. Ended up leaving that industry. It's a very tough industry to be in. I got burned out. You don't get paid very well, or not as much as I wanted to. And I was looking for any sales job really, and I fell into HVAC one. Guy gave me a chance, and shadowed him. Took a lot of training courses, certification courses, so I can actually learn and know what I'm talking about and selling. And I did that, and I did it for a little while, and fell in love with the industry. And one day I said, you know what? I think I can do this better. So 6 years later, I founded Zero along with my business partner Ilya. So
Wow. What did you think? I guess, first off, I got to tell you, once you get into this HVAC stuff as a young guy, very hard to get out.
oh yeah,
It consumes you, and you'll never get out. I mean, here I am, 64 years old. I've been doing this for
yeah.
44 years now. I'm like, holy crap. I said, I didn't realize I've been doing this long. And I sold my business, and here I am still working every day. I'm
Oh,
working probably more now than I've worked when I owned my business. But the good thing is I don't have any employees, which is kind of a nice thing right now. But
there you go.
that's one of the good things about it. But what do you do in your day-to-day roles in now? What's a day look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm on top of operations and sales mostly. So essentially I come in early morning, and
What's
we
early? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
oh no, 7.
Okay.
9 o'clock, that's my lunchtime.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
making sure. Just making
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so I usually like to get a little exercise in the morning, just to clear my mind, give me some energy for the day. And by the time I'm ready to go, it's around 7 a.m., 7:30. Just overview the boys coming in, the installers, making sure my install manager is all set for the day, checking in on him, checking in on our dispatcher, call boards, just overviewing their call board, see if they need any help with any guidance with anything. And then it's a lot of managerial tasks, checking in on the sales numbers, listening into sales calls, making notes where I can coach them. we use an AI tool called, it's Rilla's competitor actually. It's called Service Titan actually picked them up. It's their Sales Pro software.
I know
So
ServiceTitan was with a different AI company first, and then they flipped over to Wheeler.
y-
It was kind of an odd thing, is what I heard, but I don't know how.
yeah, but it's a great tool. It gives me access. It helps me not have to go in. Although I do like to do ride-alongs every once in a while, but it doesn't. It lets me ride along without physically being there. So I like to do that. Sales is everything, obviously, Mike, as you know, and tell me all the time. So looking into that and looking into numbers, data, numbers are everything. Checking in on operations and holding meetings with production crews and excuse me, production team. So install manager, install coordinator. It's a lot of checking in, following up, accountability.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a
So
lot
I
of that.
heard you saying you're using artificial intelligence. That's I'm seeing this now more and more and more in the HVAC industry. But do you find that helpful?
I do. I do. I think it's we're actually getting into a couple other AI tools. One is it's called a Voca. It's an AI chat feature on your website. Essentially, you teach it things and about your business and what you offer, what you don't offer, prices, and basically it responds for you, so you don't have to have a human respond for you. Much cheaper than a human, by the way.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it can even do some outbound texting for you, and hey, checking in. And we've experimented with some, and actually has helped us generate some additional income or service offerings because of it. So it's pretty cool. I think it's the new wave, and I think it's a good thing.
I think things are going to change drastically with it. I mean, I was looking at one. I was reviewing some stuff with my marketing guy last week on artificial intelligence, and just he was showing me how how a case study of a job was actually taken and then transcribed and put into AI, and and this was from a
Wow.
video, and all of the people talking. And he said to me, he said, when we went in to do the video, we had just pressed the record button before we were even recording. And when we
Wow.
were recording, we hear the homeowner chatting with the contractor, and a lot of good chatting going on. And took that from almost, 6 hours of being in someone's house of, and this was a stole job. This was a job that was stole, installed, everything. And they did a complete case study of video on it with the homeowner. And it
Wow.
was amazing what he got transcribed out of AI for marketing, and why people bought, how come they bought, and understanding the behaviors and stuff of what is actually going on. I truly believe artificial intelligence is going to change the way we do marketing in the future. Because I mean, he was showing me with artificial intelligence just
Yeah.
how, and based on the behaviors of this person and how they bought and what they bought, what would be the best social media campaigns, and how would we address them, and how would we promote them. And it was like a 16-page document we went over, and I was like, wow. And I mean, and then I got the name of the software from him the other day, and God, I was putting in stuff on it the other night and asking it questions, and it was like it was spitting out answers to me that I couldn't
It's
believe, based
unbelievable.
on some stuff that I had just put into it. I said, because I'm creating a new marketing module right now, and I started to put in information to it. And I said, how would you do this? What would you do based on this?
Yeah.
And it was like boom, boom, boom. I was like, wow.
Right.
It just rocked. I'm telling you. But so, Dave, let me ask you this question. When did we first meet? I'm trying to put all this together now. When was the first time we met, or first time you ever heard about me, or
Well, a lot of people have heard about you, Mike. So
I don't know if that's a good thing or
yeah.
bad.
But we our business, we really looked at N.E.T.R as sort of the model business when we started, because we wanted to lead with ductless heat pumps. That was our thing. That's what we led with. So much so that 80, I saw the stat a few months ago, 83% of our jobs are heat pumps. That's who we are, and we're like, hey, who is similar, and N.E.T.R is definitely
How did you
there.
find out about that company? How did you find out? Just from Google searching, or?
Google searching and seek and ye shall find, right? So the more you look, the more you popped up in N.E.T.R, and of course your
Yeah.
videos on YouTube and all that. So and then of course I've met you a couple years ago at a ACA New England event. I forget. I don't know if it was in Jack's Abbey. I forget where it was, but we most recently was the recent Dominate Ductless class where I think there was about 18 people signed up, only 5 of us showed up. Which worked well to my advantage because I got to ask you more questions.
Well, where were we? Where were we? Where was that event?
In the Framingham Sheraton in Massachusetts.
Oh,
Here in
okay. Yeah,
Massachusetts.
that was actually good. That was a manufacturer event that was put on.
Yes,
And some of those meetings, like you said, you get 18 people signed up for it, and then I go in there and there's 5 people.
right,
Some of those are the best meetings because, like you said, the guys that are really focused on it can get a lot out of it because
right.
you don't have a lot of that. So let me ask you this question then. How did that training help you? What did you, first I'm going to ask you kind of why you went. Why did you go and what did you get out of it?
Well, because it was presented in a way from our vendor, so one of our main or major supply houses that we buy most of our material and equipment from. A lot of times, to be honest with you, Mike, and you know this better than me, a lot of these events are really just an excuse for a lot of the HVAC owners to get a free lunch or a
Okay.
drink or something like that, and you don't really learn much. And then the speakers there are saying, oh, I'll make it quick. It's like, make it quick. I'm here. I want to learn, that's my thing. But when I
Yeah.
saw that your name was associated to it, and it was specifically to teach business owners and managers on how to run the business. It really interested me.
So the distributor actually showed it to you that way.
It showed the agenda, and I
And did the distributor come into you? Excuse me one second, but did the distributor come into you and show that to you, or did you see that somewhere, or was that?
it was shown via email from my TM for my supply the our main supply house.
All right. So it wasn't like someone actually came in and said, "Hey, Dave, I think you should." Yeah.
No.
See, that's where I think a lot of times the disconnect comes. They get an email, and most of the times the emails get deleted.
Exactly. However, luckily I didn't delete that one, but showing the agenda was what got me. That was the hook. Showing marketing, training a team, the financial component. I really loved the agenda, and I saw your name. I said, "Oh, this must be good." Why I went is because I want to learn. I want to be surrounded by people that know more than me so that I can learn and glean from. And if I can get close to you, and you've been there and done that, so why wouldn't I
Made
go?
all the mistakes, Dave. And you're new
Yes.
to it. I'm old to it. I've made all the mistakes. Believe me, I'll tell you that right now. And there's nothing better than fixing the mistakes when you make them. So, hey, I made them once, I made them twice, 3 times,
Right.
shame on me, but no
Right.
one's perfect. But you try to fix your business.
Yeah. Well, experience is everything, and you have a lot of experience,
Yeah.
and that's what I wanted to learn from.
So you go to this 2-day training now, and you're sitting there, kind of like, okay, what's this old guy going to teach me? What does he know? 2 high point topics that you pulled out of that you said this was worth coming to. This was worth coming to because I'm sucking up. I know you got more than one, but I want to know 2, maybe
Yeah.
3 that you said, whoa, wait a minute. This was worth me coming to because like you said, contractors that don't come, I guess it's an advantage to you in your area. So But
Yeah.
what were those 2 or 3 things?
One was your high level. One was the intentionality in marketing. So that Google clustering, I had never heard of that concept before.
Okay.
And you mentioned that and how you went about it. And of course, I was asking you a ton of questions. I don't know if
Ton
you,
of questions.
but it was beautiful to see that how you manipulated the marketing and how it all works. It's like an ecosystem that has to work together. You don't, I we were operating on a phrase called you spray and pray. Well, that's not good marketing, you know.
Spray and pray. Yeah. I call
That's
that sporadic marketing. Sporadic
yeah.
marketing. Throw.
Well, that doesn't work, and evidenced by your experience. And so that was huge for me, and so much so since then, we made a couple lead magnets. We've creating the funnels, funneling right with your Google clusters
Keep the
where the
cluster. Pick the topic. Pick the topic, David.
yes,
Build around it. And always
yes,
revert back to the main topic page, because once you pick what you want to do, then it's a hub and spoke. It's the hub. Then you got the spokes going off it and saying, okay,
right,
well, here's my main page, but here's my video, here's my podcast, here's this. And it all goes back to the same thing.
exactly. And it was really eye opening. As a business owner, these things, but it sometimes it doesn't sink in, and that really
Yeah.
kind of downloaded into me, which means that marketing is the first, right? The
Spend money,
first one in the
spend
wheel.
money, the gear turns, right?
Exactly. So
Hopefully it will
that was
turn.
huge.
Hopefully it will turn.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend $10,000 a month for pay-per-click, because let's be honest, any business can do that.
Anybody can do that.
I'd rather spend $5,000 to $10,000 a month building credit. I mean, building content that I own. You don't own pay-per-click. You pay for pay-per-click. You don't own it.
Right.
You own your content. Believe me, you own the content, and it's not going to get taken away. Huge focus. It takes, but you know what, Dave? It takes work and time. Work and time.
Yes.
Willing to work, and you got the time
Yep.
and the money. You do it. You put the money into it, and you do what you got to
Right.
do. I'd rather spend money on that than I would pay-per-click, because Google, you like I told
Yeah.
you can Google $5,000. What happens?
Right.
In a month, where's the $5,000? Gone.
Right. Gone. And so that was huge. And marketing is the most important piece that gets everything else, all the other gears turning, right?
And I think you learned that from another company at one point. You said that earlier in the podcast.
I did.
You learned that. You know
Right.
the importance of that, where some contractors don't.
Right.
They do what you're saying. They do a lot of spray and sporadic, and
Right.
they're not doing the right things.
So that what I would say that's number one amongst the many that I learned. The second I would say thing that I learned, the second thing that stood out to me the most, I would say, is how the numbers. I knew this again. I knew this, but how the importance of the bottom line. The bottom line is everything in the business. If you don't have profit, you might as well be working for somebody else. That's literally what you said.
Go to work. Yep.
And how, again, intentional, that was my high level takeaway from that, is how intentional you have to be in the day to day in order to protect your bottom line, because it's everything. And then you gave us some strategies on how to do that. You gave us some ideas, how it looked. I asked you a couple questions, how you did it, on a day to day, practically.
Keep your eye on the ball, kid. You can't hit the ball if you don't have your eye on it, right?
Right.
Can't hit.
So those,
You got to watch. You got to keep your eye. Compare from last year to this year. Understand your income statement. That's usually what puts the small guys out of business. Am I right or wrong?
you're right. You're right.
They're great installers, great technicians, and I hear it. I'm on these HVAC blogs, and I look at it, and it's like, HVAC owners, and, what do I need to know? I'm just starting a business, and, or there was one question the other day that I found super important. I don't mean to interrupt your thought, but it was, it was someone who had said, if I could have had, if there was a question I would have asked 2 years into it, as a new HVAC owner, what would I have done differently when I started my business?
Mm.
Let me ask you that question. Think about your first 2 years into it, and you look back. What would you have done? What would you have done differently that now 6 years later you're doing, saying, "Boy, I wished I did that 4 years ago."
Focus on marketing.
Yeah. Okay.
Focus on marketing. Focus on marketing and protect the bottom line at all costs. And then
It's your
that,
money. It's your money. You're the owner. It's your money.
right,
That's
right.
that's just like opening your wallet to people, and I think some of your employees can get a little bit, they do, Dave's doing this today. Dave's doing, you know what? I'm not doing this intentionally. I'm doing this to protect this so we all can enjoy the wealth of this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think it's very hard for employees to see that big picture. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard. They don't understand. Because you know what? They don't understand business.
No.
No.
And we didn't understand it until we got into it, So,
Yeah, sales. Sales. You're sales. You're high level sales guy. High level sales. Now
yes,
you're learning operations.
the whole other beast.
It's a whole other beast. And with people comes what? Personalities.
Right.
And that's hard to do. So what other high level things did you get? You got protect the bottom line, you got the marketing. What would be the third one?
The third one, which I thought was a beautifully put by you, was professionalizing the experience. So, in in a day and age today where we have the stand in the vans, right? Cheap bidder, cheap price. We're competing with that. We're competing with the PE companies, right? So who have more money than God. And then we have these e-commerce people that are flashy online tools and all that stuff. How can you compete? And you can compete by doubling down on what they try to strengthen in their experience, which is professionalizing experience, getting back to customers on time, speed to lead, right? Providing a quote right then and there, listening to the customer, don't talk, listen, and offer them solutions that fit their wants and needs and what they need, just having an extreme focus on giving a great experience, not a good experience, a great customer service experience, professionalizing that experience, and that gives us a chance to compete with these other guys.
Absolutely. And think about it. Professional experience, good. It all starts with I'm just looking at you right now in this podcast, and I'm saying, I like this guy. He looks good. He's clean cut. His top button's buttoned. He's showing me his company name. He can speak professionally. He can provide me with a price. I'm pretty sure that the team he's going to bring in is going to be the same, because he has set his standard within himself, and then his team. And Dave, just that alone, those common sense items will bring you so much more business. Because every one of those good experiences that people get, they tell people about. And I'm telling you, I'm dealing with it right now. I mean, I called 4 people to have garage cabinets put in down here in Southwest Florida. 4 people that did marketing in a book. 4 people that spent money. And out of 4 people, I filled out a form online on every single one of them. Not one of them called me back. I'm still waiting. Here I am a month later. Well, here I am a month later, and I've got someone doing it today for me. And it was a small company. Guy came in. I actually called him on the phone. I called the number. I went online and I called the number. And the owner answered the phone. He said, "I'll be there in an hour to come look at it. Is that okay?" I said, "Yeah."
Wow.
He showed up. He was dressed nice. And I liked him. And I gave him the job. And he showed up. He told me last week he was coming today at 7:30. I went outside. There he was. He backed his truck in. He got the guys going. He left. He said, I'll be back at lunchtime to check on the guys. And here I am. And it's a small company. And I know those other big companies are owned by somebody.
Yeah.
I know they're owned by somebody. So I'm telling you, I'm just, there's nothing more frustrating, and it's common sense, Dave. You know, you're a smaller company, but you're not a small company. You're a medium-sized company now. Keep
Yeah.
your eye on the ball. It's how you hit the ball. You know, don't,
Right.
keep your eye on the ball. And I'm telling you, you don't discredit your customer service team.
Mm.
You know, I heard you saying that, listening to calls, listening to things. Why guys don't do that?
Yeah.
Why guys don't do that? You're not in there to scold. You're there to learn. Why didn't we book this call? Okay, well, you didn't know how to answer this question correctly. Well, you know what, Dave, that's on you. You didn't
Yep.
teach them how to answer that question correctly. So we have to now do some training and understand what we're trying to do, you know? So
Absolutely.
that's good. I mean, because speed to lead is so important today. All of this battle. We just did a podcast with a guy in the Carolinas the other day, and he said to us, he said, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call people back and show up.
That's it. Yeah.
And be professional. And be professional. You know, a pair of booties and a drop cloth goes a long way. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah. I've won many jobs just for wearing my booties. You know?
My wife wouldn't let me in the house without them. I'm
Right.
telling you right now. Dawn, you know, she wouldn't let you in. Am I right or wrong? You're not coming in. She's not going to allow it, you know? And I'm just telling you, it's professionalism. When we really think about it, do we really know that these big companies are actually being professional? Their sales teams are out there, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet you're a lot smarter than some of those guys.
Oh,
You know,
for sure.
yeah,
So we have to beat them.
you have to beat them, but you don't. You know what the good thing is now, Dave? You don't have to lower your price.
Right.
In reality, they've given you a lot of net profit.
Mm-hmm.
They've given you a lot of net profit, so you got to think about it that way too. You know, so I mean,
Right.
you know, we had this conversation the other day offline, and don't have to give it away. You know, people are willing to pay for things when people show up. I'm telling you right now. So, any other things you want to add to that? That yeah, I mean, I know we could talk for hours, but what else?
I mean, I would say some practical things were your sort of your SOP, which was very simple for the installation process. You know, you had a picture, you had a title, and you had a few bullet points on simple, easy, you know. I had never thought about it that way, just making it simple. So we always have wanted to do it, but kind of thought, oh, this is a huge elephant. How do we
A
tackle this
daunting
thing?
task. It's a daunting task. I'm going to tell you. It
Yeah,
doesn't take that long to do though. When you start creating programs and processes and stuff, and then you meet for an hour and they say, "Hey, just got to get the point across."
exactly. And that's how I read yours, and I said, wow, this is great. You know?
Let me ask you this question, Dave. Just in closing, it's just, you know, if you were to recommend to other contractors around the country, you know, not so much in your area, but I'm going to say around the country, okay? What what would you what would you tell them to from everything that we went over about like heat pumps and getting on the heat pump bandwagon? Because a lot of guys don't do this, you know, what or not even getting onto the heat pump part of it, but like what would you recommend to contractors that are in business today?
Well, I would recommend number one signing up with you for a class in their local area. Number one, but I would say, you know, we're not in this business. You know, you don't want to buy yourself a job. You want to have a business, and a business needs to make money, and it make can only make money with certain rules. And I would say HVAC is an industry that is old and hasn't been really challenged much. And doing things the way that it's always been done is not necessarily good because that I think I saw a statistic the other day or last year The national average net profit average for an HVAC company is 2%. So you want to tell
Sometimes
me,
zero. Sometimes zero. But the
right?
national average is 2, 1 to 2.
So that's the national average, meaning there are people in the negative, right?
Oh yeah, many.
Many.
I had one guy started his own company 3 times and came back to work for me every time. 3 times he started one out of business.
And to that I would say the trades are not easy. It's not an easy business.
No.
You have headaches, different types of headaches every day, let alone, so we're going to do all this. We're going to take all this liability for you to make 2% if you're lucky. I don't think so. So you need to learn. So what can we do to help that? Well, we can price jobs correctly, and let's start installing more ductless, because you can get way more bang, right, for your buck by installing it that way. I mean, for us, we've had so much. We're a young company, but our net profit has been so padded really well because of the nature of our installations. And like you and I talked the other day, Mike, you see the major discrepancies between a ducted job versus a ductless job. It's not even close. It's not even close.
It almost put me out of business, Dave. When I bought that ducted company, I told you about it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was a
Yeah.
horror show. Horror show. It's so much liability and risk, and you have nothing to sell after day one.
Right.
At least on day 2 of a ductless job, I've got labor on the job. Don't get me wrong, but at least my boxes are more expensive than a
Right.
unit job. And if I can get out of a ductless job in 2 days with 3 or 4 zones, you're making a ton of money.
Making a ton of
Exactly what you just said, Dave. If you're not making money and you have no net profit, just go to work for somebody. At least you'll get a paycheck and you can go home and have it. And some of those guys don't even go on vacation. They don't have any money. They can't pay.
No, it's
The pricing structure. No organization.
no.
None.
And that's what I would say is numbers are everything. Your bottom line's everything. Ductless just makes sense. I mean, it's not even close.
I mean, I just talked to a guy. I told you he's making. I mean, you look at these business models, and I tell you, I look at the cool garage guy here down here in Southwest Florida, and I mean, that's all he does is garages. And I talk to him all the time. When I'm on walks, I see him. He's in my neighborhood all the time doing work, and it's always like, I just do a couple jobs a week. That's all I really need to do. It's me and my helper, and I know this guy's making big money.
Because his margins are just unbelievable.
Margins are through the roof. He doesn't need to kill himself.
No.
He says, I'm not busy in the summertime. And I said, you're in Southwest Florida, in the hottest part of the country, and you're not busy in the summertime. He said, I don't want to be so busy in the summer. I go fishing. He goes, I just do maybe 1 job a week in the summer.
Yep.
He said, I'm more busy when people come here in October, November, December, January, February, March, and April. I'm like, wow. He said, I can't keep up with it. He said, I got 3-4 week backlogs in when it's cool out. He said, and that's the best time to work. He said, because the time it rains every day in the afternoon, and I lose production because of the rain. So I'm like, wow, what a great business model. An AC guy who doesn't work hard in the summertime.
Unbelievable. And that's a luxury.
He figured it out, right?
Right. It's a luxury he's been afforded due to his healthy margins, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So don't kill yourself and not make any money. Protect your bottom line. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep doing what you're doing. Dave, thanks for joining today. Had a great conversation. I wish you nothing but success, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great day, everybody.